The stars over the Ashari expanse shimmered with a serene constancy, undisturbed for centuries by anything more threatening than a cargo hauler's passing wake. That serenity ended at 0300 Galactic Central Time. A ripple in subspace tore through the void like a scream. Long-range sensors flared across dozens of systems. A gravitational signature unlike anything catalogued bloomed into existence near the edges of Council-regulated space. And at its heart, a ship, if one could even call it that, exited FTL in a blast of tachyon feedback, shaking station arrays across the region. The vessel didn't decelerate gently like a dignified diplomatic envoy. It stamped its presence into the galaxy like a hammer through silk. Council databases struggled to define it: no known class, no registration, no energy signature consistent with existing power cores. But one thing was unmistakable. It was enormous. Hull mass suggests 9.4 million tons, stammered a Greltak data officer aboard Station Jekareth. That's a dreadnought, surely, whispered another, mandibles clicking nervously. No. That's something worse, said Ambassador Zeltari, watching the holographic display. His gills pulsed with unease. That's a statement. 3 hours later, as emergency meetings formed across Council space, the mysterious vessel hailed the Council. Its message was simple, perfectly translated through a complex waveform compression that bypassed language trees altogether. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Earth-human ship Dauntless. We come in peace. Requesting audience with the Galactic Council. There was a moment of collective disbelief. Earth? The quarantine world? The death world? They weren't supposed to have FTL for at least another 1,000 cycles, according to simulation projections. Ambassador Zeltari of the Tshal High Nest, oldest living member of the Council, recoiled instinctively. He remembered Earth. It was listed in the ancient archives, a planetary anomaly filled with violent weather, apex predators, and sentient bipeds who had nuked themselves multiple times and kept going. The idea that these creatures had not only survived, but built a warship that could shake gravity wells? It chilled his internal fluid sacs. Still, protocol demanded a response. And so, the Council reluctantly invited the humans to an emergency session at Council Station Veritas, a political ringworld at the heart of neutral space. The Dauntless arrived in orbit 27 standard hours later. Where most ships docked respectfully at the orbital gates, the Dauntless parked itself directly above the station, casting a shadow visible from the surface. Sensors tried to penetrate its hull but found only a strange material, part ceramic, part titanium alloy, and part something else. Something classified. It reflected scans, jammed probes, and ran silent with power output measured in gigarads. A single shuttle detached and made its way to the docking bay. Inside the arrival chamber, the gathered delegates flinched when the bay doors hissed open. A ramp descended. Marching boots echoed off steel. Then came her. Captain Elena Reyes was clad in a sleek navy blue uniform with sharp trim and a scarlet stripe down the sleeves. Her dark brown hair was tied in a tight braid, her posture erect, her gaze calm. But behind her eyes, you could feel the storms. A half-step behind her was Commander Marcus Duval, her XO, whose smile was friendlier but whose eyes scanned the room like a predator. "We thank you for your invitation," Reyes said smoothly, offering no bow, no submissive gesture, just calm eye contact. "It's an honor to stand before the Galactic Council, finally." Ambassador Zeltari slithered forward, his fronds flickering in offense and curiosity. "You finally appear before us with a warship the size of a continent," he said dryly. "That is not how civilized species conduct first contact." Reyes smiled. "No, Ambassador. But we're not a civilized species, by your standards. We're human." Inside the Council chamber, tension simmered. "We believed Earth had no FTL capability." "How did you achieve it?" demanded the crystalline diplomat from the Zari continuum. "Necessity," Reyes replied simply. "Our planet is unpredictable. We adapt or die. That's our way." "You violated quarantine," another barked. "We were never informed of any quarantine," Duval interjected. Your probes were intercepted 200 years ago. Since then, we've been watching, quietly. You've been spying on us? Zeltari's voice was tight. Observing, Reyes corrected. Learning. Preparing. The room went silent. Reyes stepped forward, placing a small cube on the central table. It projected images, dozens of species, trade networks, council military simulations. Then, footage of the Zarkan incursion, a secret war the council thought buried. We know what's coming, she said. And you need us. Why would we need Deathworlders? Asked a rotund amphibious delegate. Because we're the only ones crazy enough to win a war you've convinced yourselves will never happen. Back aboard the Dauntless, the crew waited. In the ship's central command ring, a giant curved screen showed council news feeds, mixed with Earth's own broadcasts and memes sent from the science deck. One meme showed an alien panicking while a human calmly sipped coffee. The caption read, "Don't worry. We're just here to help." Reactions coming in, Athena, the ship's AI, announced. Her voice was calm, British, and tinged with humor. Council morale down 16%. Civilian interest up 43%. Fear index? Up 91%. Duval chuckled. So they're scared and curious. Classic. They should be both, Reyes replied. But let's make sure they're more curious than afraid. That night, Reyes sat alone in her quarters, reviewing an old photograph. A pre-launch picture of her family, back on Earth. Her daughter, Anna, smiling with her missing front teeth. Her husband giving a mock salute. She traced their faces with a finger. The galaxy didn't understand Earth. Didn't know about the wars, the plagues, the climate collapses. But more importantly, it didn't know about recovery. Hope. Grit. Love. That's what scared them, not the guns. Not the engines. The will. In the council chamber the next day, Reyes returned with a proposition. Humanity requests observer status, with intent to become a full member within one rotation, she said. In return, we offer data archives, tactical support, and cultural exchange. You think we'll just welcome a militarized species into our order? Zeltari hissed. Reyes gave him a long look. If not us, who? If not now, when? She turned to the others. We didn't come here to start a war. But if war comes to you, you'll need someone who's been through hell and built a road out. The vote was postponed. The council argued. But the galaxy had seen the Dauntless. And nothing would ever be the same. 1,000 light-years away from Council Station Veritas, rumors of the humans' arrival rippled like gravitational waves through the galactic core. Newsnets were ablaze. Memes, panic broadcasts, and conspiracy theories saturated the datasphere. They say the humans ride singularities like horses. Their ship speaks like a god and kills like a star. They didn't evolve. They survived. By the end of the standard cycle, the word Earthling had already taken root in every known language, spoken with awe, curiosity, or, more often than not, terror. Inside Council Station Veritas, Ambassador Zeltari stood motionless before a holographic projection of the Dauntless. The image flickered in and out, unable to maintain a stable resolution through the ship's reactive stealth countermeasures. It's not just the size, he hissed to his assistant. It's the intent. Everything about that vessel is designed to survive apocalypse-level scenarios. They built a ship for the end of worlds. His assistant, a pale-skinned Aviari diplomat named Yarla, tilted her head. Or perhaps they built it because they've already seen the end. And kept going. Zeltari didn't reply. His fronds had curled tightly against his body, a subconscious expression of deep fear. The next morning, Council diplomats awoke to a new crisis. 3 surveillance drones, quietly dispatched toward Earth days before the humans' arrival, were returned. Not destroyed. Not hacked. Returned. They were found floating gently in a geosynchronous orbit around Council Station, tethered together with high-tensile cord and a note etched in perfect council script. Nice try. We saw them coming before you launched them. Council members were furious. Publicly, they claimed it was a breach of trust. Privately, they were terrified. They penetrated council deep space surveillance grids without triggering a single alarm, muttered one diplomat. They could be listening right now, whispered another. Back aboard the Dauntless, the bridge crew reviewed footage of the drones with amusement. Commander Duval smirked. They seriously thought they could sneak up on us with those clunky things? They don't understand asymmetric warfare, Reyes replied, sipping her coffee. They never had to. The ship's AI, Athena, chimed in. I've cataloged 143 council-level surveillance protocols. All are child's play. Don't rub it in, Reyes said, though she allowed herself a small smile. We're not here to humiliate them. We're here to make them understand. Duval raised an eyebrow. And if they refuse to understand? Reyes didn't answer. She stared at the rotating hologram of Council Station and quietly whispered, then we show them something they can't ignore. An invitation was sent to the council members, an exclusive tour aboard the Dauntless. It was part public relations, part diplomacy, and part psychological warfare. Only 4 accepted, including Yarla. Inside the shuttle bay, the aliens were greeted not with guns or guards, but with polite officers, meticulously clean walkways, and the scent of fresh brewed coffee, deliberately chosen to unsettle. They were escorted past the launch bays, where hulking kinetic cannons were stacked like modern art sculptures. The Chal delegate flinched as he noticed that each shell bore names, some humorous, diplomacy delivery system, some chilling, hello, regret. Yarla, however, was fascinated. She stopped at a wall of framed portraits, crew members who had died during Earth's long, brutal climb to the stars. Her translator chirped, relaying their epitaphs. She died ensuring our reactors didn't fail on Europa. He saved 43 lives in a Venus outpost collapse. These aren't war heroes, Yarla whispered. They're survivors. Captain Reyes stood beside her. Every human alive today descends from someone who survived the worst nature had to offer. Earth didn't evolve us to be gentle. It evolved us to endure. That very evening, the illusion of diplomacy cracked. News broke across the net. A rogue faction from the Council's internal security bloc had launched a surprise attack on a human scout ship positioned near a mining asteroid in neutral space. Their justification? Precautionary containment. The human vessel was unmanned, thankfully, but its destruction was decisive. Plasma beams had vaporized the small ship in under 3 seconds. At Council headquarters, Blaine ping-ponged wildly. The faction insisted they acted to prevent escalatory espionage. But it didn't matter. The footage reached Earth in less than 15 minutes. 20 later, the Dauntless was in motion. The Dauntless accelerated toward the source of the attack, a gas giant system with multiple Council military satellites in low orbit. But rather than retaliate with weapons, it deployed a strange pod into the planet's magnetic field. A few seconds later, the planet's entire magnetosphere convulsed. A brief, terrifying electromagnetic pulse swept through the system, disabling every single satellite and orbital platform. No lives were lost. But for 13 minutes, the entire planet was plunged into sensor blindness. Panic spread like fire. Then, a simple message from Athena was broadcast. We could have destroyed you. We chose not to. Choose better. Back at the Council, chaos reigned. Some demanded the humans be expelled from the galaxy. Others began quietly aligning with them. Ambassador Zeltari, however, retreated to his private chamber. He knew what most did not, that this was no mere power play. It was a doctrine. Humans weren't demonstrating superiority. They were proving they didn't need permission to act. On the Dauntless, Commander Duval paced beside Reyes in the observation deck, watching the gas giant spin slowly in the distance. You think they got the message? He asked. I think we gave them a choice, she said. That's all we ever wanted. He sighed, then hesitated. You really think they'll come around? Reyes didn't answer immediately. Her expression softened. I think they're scared. But deep down, they're curious. And curiosity's a better beginning than hatred. Duval smirked. Not very tactically sound. Hope? Maybe not. But it's very human. Meanwhile, Yarla returned to her quarters aboard the Council station, staring out at the silhouette of the Dauntless, still looming in orbit like a watchful god. She'd spent hours on that ship. Talked to engineers, laughed with Marines, even tried Earth chocolate. She'd seen more genuine honesty and self-awareness in a day with the humans than in a decade of political training. She tapped into her datapad, opened a secure channel, and began transmitting. Not to the Council. To the humans. I have information. You were right about the others. I think I can help. The Council chambers had always been a place of measured voices and carefully veiled words. But not today. Today, it was chaos. Ambassador Zeltari's voice sliced through the cacophony. This is madness. The humans disable an entire planetary defense grid and we debate protocols? They didn't fire a shot, retorted Yarla, standing opposite him. They sent a message, a warning without bloodshed. Exactly, a serpentine diplomat hissed. They demonstrated the capacity for annihilation without engaging in it. That's not diplomacy. That's psychological warfare. We do the same thing with trade tariffs, Yarla shot back. They just use magnetospheres instead of spreadsheets. Silence followed. The truth had an unpleasant sting. High Chancellor Brell of the Triune Hive finally clicked her mandibles together and spoke. We are standing on the edge of a precipice. The humans have made their intentions clear. They want inclusion. Cooperation. But they will not grovel. She paused, letting her next words fall like stones. And if pushed, they will not hesitate to act. Back aboard the Dauntless, Captain Elena Reyes sat in the central briefing room, flanked by Commander Duval and her science lead, Dr. Thorne. In the center of the table, a hologram flickered to life, Yarla, broadcasting via encrypted relay. I've spoken to several council aides. You were right, there's a faction plotting against you. The Chlor Syndicate. They believe humanity is an existential threat. They're pushing for preemptive action. Reyes leaned forward. Do they have military assets? Yarla nodded. Not many of their own, but they're manipulating smaller border nations to mobilize, offering debt relief and weapons. Commander Duval growled. Classic proxy strategy. Use pawns to provoke a response, then justify retaliation. They'll try to frame you as aggressors, Yarla said quietly. They want public support to consolidate council military power. Reyes tapped the table, eyes narrowed. So it's a trap. They hit us through intermediaries, then paint us as warmongers if we defend ourselves. We need to outthink them, Duval muttered. We need to outhuman them, Reyes corrected, a sharp glint in her eye. The trap was sprung 2 days later. A colony vessel bearing a human diplomatic crew was attacked en route to the neutral world of Kepher's Belt. The attackers were marked as Kefri mercenaries, but their ship IDs were traced to a decommissioned Chlor Syndicate stockpile. One survivor, Lieutenant Juno Park, pulled from the wreckage by a local trader. When the Dauntless received the transmission, Reyes listened silently to the garbled emergency logs. They came out of nowhere, we weren't armed, they didn't care, this wasn't a mistake. She turned to her bridge crew. Her voice was ice. Plot a course to Kepher's Belt. Maximum burn. As the Dauntless hurtled through subspace, Reyes addressed the ship. Her image filled every screen, from engineering to the galley. Today, we lost good people. Ambassadors. Engineers. Friends. They believed in peace. They believed in this mission. But someone wants a war. They think they can provoke us, bleed us, then bury us beneath protocol. They don't understand who we are. We don't start wars. But we finish them. Silence followed. Then, across the decks of the Dauntless, every human straightened. No one cheered. They simply prepared. Kepher's belt was a wasteland of shattered moons and resource-hungry settlements. The Dauntless dropped into low orbit, its silhouette blotting out the sun. Commander Duval led the away team. Reyes stayed aboard, watching from above like an angel of judgment. The mercenary outpost, disguised as a trade hub, scrambled ships the moment humans entered their atmosphere. The battle lasted 7 minutes. Duval's team deployed drone swarms that shut down weapon systems mid-flight. EMP mines neutralized hostile tech. No one died. The outpost commander, a Clore agent in stolen Kefri armor, was dragged into the light by a human marine. His claws clacked nervously. "You have a choice," Duval said. "Speak. Or become a cautionary tale." "I was following orders," the alien screeched. "From the Syndicate. We were told you'd retaliate and make the Council turn." Duval nodded. "You were played." The Clore agent snarled. "So what now? You kill me?" Duval leaned close. "We're humans. We do better than that." Footage of the captured mercenaries and their confessions was released within hours. The galaxy watched as humans exposed the Syndicate's plot, not through war, but transparency. The Clore Syndicate tried to deny everything. Too late. Public outrage erupted. Allied border worlds withdrew support. Council members who had sat on the fence suddenly leaned human. And quietly, the Syndicate's war fleet, stationed in the Varn corridor, began to mobilize. Yarla appeared again via encrypted channel. Her feathers were ruffled, her voice tight. "They've gone too far. The Syndicate's flagship, Scourge of Varn, is en route to your location." "ETA?" Reyes asked. 4 days. Faster than anything the Council's authorized. Reyes nodded. "And Council support?" Yarla looked away. "Tied up in emergency votes. They won't act in time. So we're alone." Duval's jaw clenched. "No," Yarla said. "Not alone. You have me. And, I'm not the only one." Reyes gave her a rare, genuine smile. 3 days later, as the Scourge of Varn dropped out of FTL above Kepher's belt, the Dauntless was waiting. The Scourge was a beast, twice the length of a dreadnought, bristling with plasma turrets, shield generators, and kinetic launchers. It was also outmatched. The Dauntless didn't move. Didn't posture. It simply held orbit, locked in passive target tracking. Then Reyes opened a channel. "This is Captain Reyes of the United Terran Alliance. You attacked our diplomats. You violated neutral space. You attempted to incite war. You now have one decision to make. Leave. Or burn." The Clore captain scoffed. "Empty threats. We are armed. You are one ship." Athena's voice slid into the channel like silk dipped in steel. "Incorrect. We are human." At that moment, 34 cloaked microvessels decloaked around the Scourge. Each carried EMP warheads and resonance disruptors designed for one purpose, to blind and deafen enemy command. The Syndicate ship powered up weapons, too late. A coordinated cascade of pulses erupted from the Dauntless and its cloaked wing. Shields failed. Control arrays collapsed. Weapon systems fried. In 22 seconds, the Scourge was dead in space. Reyes let the silence stretch. Then transmitted a final message. This was never about strength. This was about understanding what happens when you push the wrong species too far. Back on Earth, the broadcast played to billions. Children watched with eyes wide, elders with knowing nods. In military academies, it was studied before classes even ended. And across the galaxy, a word began to change. Human. It no longer meant just unpredictable. Or dangerous. Now it meant strategic. United. Relentless. But above all, just It was a rare sight, every chair filled, every delegate present. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council hummed with an energy not felt in centuries. Not since the fall of the Grotari hegemony. Not since the signing of the Pax Spiral. Now, something new had risen. And it had come from the outer fringe, a blue-green death world, dismissed for most of galactic history as an irrelevant backwater of unstable oxygen breathers. But Earth had arrived. And the galaxy would never be the same. The central dais lit up. Chancellor Vexel of the SYTH coalition rose. By unanimous emergency vote, he announced, the motion to formally recognize the United Terran Alliance as a full council member has passed. A pause. He flicked his tongue, uncharacteristically nervous. We now welcome the human delegation to address the council. A low murmur rippled through the chamber. And then, from the tall obsidian doors behind the dais, they entered. 3 figures. No entourage. No honor guard. No pageantry. Only resolve. Captain Elena Reyes walked at the front, flanked by Commander Duval and Ambassador Noah Shin, Earth's official envoy. Her uniform was crisp. Her expression, unreadable. Behind her eyes burned the memory of every crew member lost, every frontier outpost abandoned, every time Earth had been written off as a footnote in someone else's civilization. Now, they were writing the story. She reached the speaker's podium. Her voice echoed clearly, carried by universal translator and quiet conviction. Members of the Galactic Council. I thank you for this recognition. But understand, humanity did not come here seeking your approval. We came seeking understanding. And when that was denied, when our diplomats were attacked and our peaceful missions were sabotaged, we responded not with conquest, but with proof. Proof that Earth is no one's colony. No one's subject. And no one's pawn. Reyes locked eyes with Ambassador Zeltari. To his credit, he held her gaze. But he didn't speak. You feared our strength. But what you truly fear, she continued, is that we survived a world designed to kill us, and we brought that survival instinct to the stars. What you fear, is that we do not break. A slow, hesitant applause began from the Ketran delegation, one of the fringe species long bullied by council bureaucracy. Then another. And another. Soon, the hall rang with full applause. Some reluctant, some enthusiastic. But none dared interrupt. Humanity had earned this. After the session, Reyes stood in the private diplomatic garden overlooking the stars. She was quiet, watching the slow rotation of Council Station and the outline of her ship, Dauntless, in orbit, still distant, still vigilant. Yarla joined her. They talk about you like legends now, the Aviari diplomat said. Children whisper about the ship that speaks and the people who never surrender. They'll stop whispering, Reyes said. Eventually. Maybe, Yarla said. But not anytime soon. She hesitated. I was asked to join the Earth Liaison Corps. To serve as a bridge between species. Reyes smiled faintly. You'd be welcome. You're already part of the crew in everything but uniform. Thank you, Yarla said. I only wish more of the council saw what I saw. They will, Reyes said. Or they'll be left behind. Meanwhile, back aboard the Dauntless, Athena monitored communications across the galactic net. Thousands of signals. Messages from minor species seeking treaties. Requests for Terran technologies, stealth dampening, AI ethics protocols, materials sciences. Inquiries from oppressed species asking if Earth would protect them. And rumors. Whispers of revolt inside the syndicate. Of colonies rising against the old powers now that someone had shown the council wasn't untouchable. Athena recorded it all. Analyzed. Adapted. Then she opened a private channel to Reyes. Captain. Word of Earth has reached the Spiral Arm Corps. Independent factions are watching. We may have started something bigger than expected. Reyes responded simply. Good. Let them see the stars aren't just for the old empires. They're for those who dare. The Scourge of Varn, once the pride of the Syndicate, had been towed to the outskirts of a Terran-controlled repair yard. It sat there, inert. Silent. A monument to arrogance, and a trophy to resilience. And beneath its gutted hull, Earth's engineers were already at work. They weren't just salvaging it. They were learning from it. The next day, Council Directive 1098 Alpha was quietly issued. Any hostile action against Terran vessels or personnel is to be considered an act of war. All parties are advised to treat human space as sovereign, and their representatives as equal partners. Some species chafed. Others bristled. But none objected. They had seen what came of that. 1 week later, a new ship arrived in orbit over Veritas Station. Not the Dauntless. This one was smaller. Sleeker. Built using salvaged Syndicate armor and Terran hybrid engines. Its name was etched in 12 languages. Unity. It carried representatives from Earth, the Aviari, the Ketran, and even 3 members of former neutral systems. A multi-species diplomatic vessel, Earth's proposal for a new kind of galactic dialogue. One not dictated by ancient empires or corrupted bureaucracies, but by those who had seen war, suffered loss, and still chose cooperation. As it docked, a message played on open frequencies. We are the children of adversity. We do not forget. But we forgive, when forgiveness is earned. We do not demand loyalty. We invite respect. This is the Terran legacy. Join us. Or watch us pass you by. And so, a single battleship had changed the galaxy. Not by obliteration. Not by colonization. But by standing its ground, revealing strength through restraint, and daring the stars to look again. They had screamed in terror when Earth arrived. Now, they listened. Epilogue. 2 years later. Council Station Veritas now included a permanent Terran wing. Earth's anthem occasionally played over the loudspeakers. Young aliens studied Terran military history, not because they feared humans, but because they wanted to learn what made them so damn hard to break. The galaxy had not become peaceful overnight. But the old guard had fractured. And in the cracks, a new order was growing. At the heart of it, the Dauntless, still in orbit, still watching, still ready. Captain Reyes sat in her quarters, a mug of coffee in hand, watching stars roll by. Behind her, the door slid open. Commander Duval stepped in. New assignment just came through, he said. First contact with the Tetraxi Dominion. Way beyond the mapped edge. She raised an eyebrow. Exploratory? And diplomatic. She grinned. Good. Let's scare a whole new quadrant.